Everybody. Today I'm going to be predicting Evloev versus Murphy. Weller cannot be here today, but he did send me his predictions, so I'm going to be reading them off. First of all, last week Kevin Vallejos absolutely demolished Josh Emmett in the first round. It was electric, great performance from him. I think he's easily going to be a top five featherweight, champ potential. I think him and Gene Silva are the two worst matchups for Volkanovski right now, and I'm really curious to see if after fighting the winner of Evloev Murphy, if Volk will fight a Gene Silva or a Kevin Vallejos, because those dudes, I don't know. I might favor them to beat Volk, honestly. They've got better odds than I think either of these dudes really. But starting off the card, we have Melissa Mullins versus Luana Carolina. And now today we're not gonna waste time. There's really no reason to spend too much time on fights like these. So, uh, Weller's going with Luana Carolina by decision. I'm gonna do the same. I feel like she just looks more badass than Melissa Mullins, so I'm gonna pick her by decision. Next fight we got Chanel Dyer versus Ravina Oliveira. Um, like just looking at him, like she just looks more badass, bro. She just looks like that glint in her eye. She looks like she wants to knock out more than her. Come on. I'm gonna take Chanel Dyer by second round knockout. Weller has Chanel Dyer by decision. Next up, Shamrock versus Abdul Kareem Al Sawadi. Weller has Shamrock by decision. I'm gonna go with the same here. I think Shamrock just honestly like deserves to be in the UFC more than Abdul Kareem Al Sawadi. I think he belongs a little bit more. He did lose his last fight, but like this dude got into the UFC off beating George Hardwick on Contender Series Al Sawadi. Like I ain't rating no George Hardwick win. I'm gonna go Shamrock by decision. Not particularly excited for this fight, but here we go. Um, Mario Pinto versus Felipe Franco. We really just couldn't get Mario Pinto a good opponent. I really don't know why he's even still fighting on this card. If this is his opponent, like, I don't know what the odds are for this fight. I'd assume it's like minus 2,000 Pinto. But I'm gonna go Pinto first round submission. I don't think Felipe Franco is anywhere near his level. I think Pinto is one of the best prospects at heavyweight right now. I think he's found his composure in this division. Um, I feel like he's a pretty cerebral fighter. I like hearing him talk about fighting. Seems like he knows what he's doing and has a good sense of humor about things. But dude, Felipe Franco literally got submitted by a gym teacher on Contender Series, bro. Like this is just terrible. All right. Mario Pinto is on first round murder prediction by Welder. He did not say TKO or submission. I'm assuming that means TKO. Next fight, we got Montrez Kondratvichus versus Antonio Tricoli. Antonio Tricoli is an absolute bum, bro. Like, I don't know what it is with the middleweight division and just having absolute bums that they just don't cut from the division, but Antonio Tricoli is one of those bums. And I think me and Weller are gonna easily agree. He's got Montez by first round knockout. I'm gonna say the same. This guy's got nasty power. If you watch some of his fights, I'm not sure about some of the competition he's fighting, but he is knocking these dudes out bad. So I'm taking this dude by first round knockout. This is easy. This is easy work. This is free cash. Um, we got Louis Sutherland versus Brando Pericic. This is a battle of some real heavyweights, I guess. Louis Sutherland really got a very wide chest on him. Used to look a lot more jacked when he wasn't in the UFC, and he could probably shoot up his arm with some steroids, but I'm still gonna take him here. Weller's got Brando Pericic by Brown 2 TKO. I do think this fight is gonna end by a KO. Like these are just some like stand and throw big shots kind of guys. I think Louis Sutherland gonna go out there, throw one of those, bomb of a leg kicks that he hit Walter Walker with and broke his leg. I'm gonna go Louis Sutherland second round KO. Next fight, um, Weller has Nathaniel Wood by decision. Now I'm gonna start reading some of his next predictions as we get down the card a little bit more fluently. He sent these little descriptions. Um, Nate Wood by decision. Wood is more proven against high level competition, doesn't have many flaws in his game, and is able to punish any mistake. Now, Nate Wood is good. He's got a lot of experience in the UFC. But I'm gonna take Lucien Queta by um I'm gonna go Lucien Queta by decision. Nate Wood's got a really good chin. I don't think he's gonna get knocked out. I do think he's gonna get dropped maybe once or twice by Lucien Queta. He's got really, really good movement, big power. He swings massive hooks that I really like. He's really fun to watch in the regional scene in Octagon, which I think is a pretty good promotion, especially they have a lot of grapplers. When I think of Octagon, honestly, I think of like massive jiu-jitsu European dudes. And I don't think the grappling will be too much of a problem for Chieda in this. And he does really good work on the feet. So I think he's going to be able to do this. I think this guy's going to be top 15 featherweight. I really like him. I just hope he's able to, you know, make weight and continue to make weight in this division because I do think he's going to be a problem for a lot of dudes, especially in the lower end of the rankings right now. All right, we got Mason Jones versus Axel Sola. Now, Weller has Axel Sola by decision. He said he's enough of a dog to hang with Mason Jones, and I think he's more technically sound. Jones probably simply isn't able to be finished, but I have Axel Sola 29-28. This should be a really interesting fight, and I think there's a good reason that this is the end of the prelims. Axel Sola good prospect, and then Mason Jones is just a really entertaining fighter. Every time he goes out to fight, he's getting dropped, dropping other dudes, finishing people. It's always an interesting fight, you know, hella blood and stuff like that. But I think Axel Sola is going to be able to stuff the aggressive takedowns of Mason Jones. Like, I don't think he's going to be able to just like you know, toss those big hooks forward and get the takedowns on Sola. I think Sola's gonna be able to stuff a lot of those takedowns, and I think that's gonna make the difference in this fight. I think Sola's a bit bigger, I believe. I want to see this because he was a welterweight going down. Um, so he is 5'11", not that much bigger, but I do think this is gonna be an Axel Sola decision as well. I think it's gonna be yeah, about 2 rounds to 1. Maybe Mason Jones has some big blitz moments, but I think Axel Sola is being able to weather the storm, maybe even get some takedowns of his own. All right, Curtis Campbell versus Danny Silva. Um, let's read what Weller has to say. Curtis Campbell died decision. Silva going the distance with Vallejos continues to age better, but Campbell is another killer who's well-rounded and has 5-round proven cardio. Now, this is something I'm gonna have to agree with. Danny Silva is actually kind of a dog. He's got pretty good striking, and I think this is gonna be kind of a tough fight for Curtis Campbell. Like I really like him as a prospect. It's interesting to see a really good grappler come out of Western Europe. When I think of really good grapplers, I think of, East Europe, Russia, Kazakhstan, countries like that. But we got this dude in England, shooting takedowns in the first second. So I think Danny Silva is gonna have some moments on the feet. I think it's gonna be a really exciting back and forth fight. But I think Curtis Campbell is gonna get it done in a really exciting war, 29-28. Low key fight of the night potential, in my opinion. I think this is gonna be a big like. Curtis Campbell's not terrible in the feet, but he's just really, really focused on getting you to the ground because of how good he is when he's there. Um, and I do think he's gonna land big ground pound on Silva, probably cut him up. But I think this is gonna be a dogfight. I'm really excited to see this. So Curtis Campbell by decision. Um, Probably gets this guy some recognition. I think he's a fun guy. Cinema. We got my boy Christian Leroy Duncan. Now, before I get into glazing this guy, let me tell you what Weller thinks of him. He said Christian Leroy Duncan by second round KO. Delize has never been knocked out, but is showing signs of significant decline, and CLD is an absolute monster on the feet. Now, bro, Christian Leroy Duncan, this might be a hot take. I don't care. Christian Leroy Duncan, in my opinion, I think this guy has future champ potential for sure. I think this guy is so supremely talented when it comes to the feet, and I think he does have that loss to Armin Petrosian early in his career, but that was his first loss. Let's get that off. And I think in that fight, he learned, I got to be genuinely calculated on the feet. Like, obviously, he spins a lot and stuff. You're going to see that when you watch this fight. He loves those um, wheel kicks, spinning elbows, spinning back fists. He also loves like flying knees. Um, this guy, he's just so explosive. And I think that win with Petrosian made him realize like he's got to be more calculated and set things up. Um, he lost against Gregory Rodriguez, who's honestly a guy who I still think is kind of a bad matchup for Christian Leroy Duncan, but I think there are a lot of guys he matches up really well with in this middleweight division. A lot of guys I think he would really spark out. Um, and this fight is one of those fights. Roman Dolidze is just not that good. Like he's just a big jack dude who can like grapple and throw some like massive overhands at the start of the fight. I'm gonna go Christian Leroy Duncan first round knockout. I'm so excited to see this fight. I can't wait until Dolidze low-key gets put on a stretcher and we get to see another Christian Leroy Duncan knockout added to his resume, added to his highlight reel. It's gonna be absolutely awesome. Speaking of highlight reels, Iwo Baranieski versus Austin Lane. This fight clearly gonna be on a highlight reel tonight. This fight will be a KO, whoever wins it. But Weller has Iwo Baranieski um by first round murder. Lane is very chinny and now cuts 40 pounds to fight a power puncher with a judo background. He's cooked here, and this will be the end of his UFC career. Now, I gotta agree. Looking at his fight with Mario Pinto, Austin Lane, kind of pretty similar size to Mario Pinto, who's definitely a heavyweight. Um, he's a really big guy. He's like what, 6'5", 6'6". This dude is massive. I don't think he should be cutting this much weight to go down to light heavyweight, especially how bad heavyweight is. Iwo Baranieski is just this big Polish blockhead coming at you. He's gonna just uh, uh, ah big overhand, bro. That's what this guy does. This fight's gonna be cinema. First round knockout, Iwo Baranieski. That's what I got. Now we got Michael Page versus Sam Patterson. Uh, Weller has MVP by round three KO. I like Patterson. He has solid striking in jiu-jitsu, but I don't think he has the wrestling to take advantage of MVP's poor grappling. He's also been knocked out twice, including by Yanil Ashmouz, so I think MVP could get his first real UFC highlight here. Now, I agree with Weller. He was knocked out by Yanil Al-Shmuz, which is not very good, you know? That's not really a loss I'm trying to see. But Sam Patterson, you watch him, he's got really good timing. With his striking, he's got, really nice overhands and he's able to catch people coming in. He's able to catch people with combos. And stylistically, when I think of this matchup, it is kind of random. I feel like there are more famous unranked prospects at welterweight that could be fighting Michael Page, like Islam Dulatov, who was offered to fight him and actually turned it down. But the more I think about it, man, like I feel like the style of this fight, Dulatov's kind of like a pressure boxer, combination boxer, but Patterson, I feel like is well rounded enough and lengthy enough at 6'3", with those really long arms and that good jab and that big overhand right that he can knock people out with. I think this is going to be bit of an upset. I don't know what the odds are exactly here. I don't think Patterson's too big of an underdog, but I do believe he's like 2-1. Maybe a little bit more than that. But I'm gonna go with Patterson by third round submission. I think this is gonna be an interesting fight. I'm wouldn't be surprised if Page got a knockout. He does have big power, and we've seen Patterson get knocked out, but now he's not cutting so much weight. He is 6'3", so like those knockouts earlier in his career when he was at 155, bro, he was 6'3". Like maybe you shouldn't be fighting at 155 at 6'3", or like, bro, go play basketball. Go play shooting guard. But nah, he's a dog for taking this fight, and I think there's a reason he took this fight. Um, I think he knows stylistically he presents some problems for Page. I think he might be able to catch Page coming in either with a takedown or a big counter. So I'm gonna go Sam Patterson. All right. Not sure why this is the co-main, but Weller has Luke Riley by round one KO. Aswell has never been finished, but Riley has huge power, and Aswell doesn't have the wrestling to counteract Riley's advantage on the feet. So I expect a highlight for Riley. I'm going to totally agree with that. Riley is absolutely nasty. This guy's undefeated. He's very big for the featherweight division as well. Michael Aswell is not a particularly athletic fighter, in my opinion. I'm not saying he's like complete trash or anything, but I think Luke Riley is very athletic and he's got that big power that's going to be a massive difference in this fight. He also just has cleaner striking. Um, this guy's going to be built up. I think he's eventually going to be ranked. The only way I think like you beat this guy is if you have real knockout power or you can wrestle him and either submit him, which I think is a little bit more difficult, or just kind of time him out on the ground, like we saw happen in his first round of his UFC debut. But this is going to be a pretty easy fight for him, so I'm going to go first round KO for Luke Riley. Now, yeah, Movsar Evloev versus Lerone Murphy, the main event. Winner fights Volkanovski. Let's read Weller's description. Movsar by decision. The gap in favor of Evloev's grappling is far wider than Murphy's advantage in the striking. Evloev has far better striking than he gets credit for, and Murphy has only 51% takedown defense, while Movsar is willing to chain wrestle until he eventually gets Murphy down. I'm even tempted to pick him via finish because I figure he knows he has something to prove to Dana, but I can't bring myself to do it. All right. This was a fight that I was thinking of picking Lerone Murphy in, but I just feel like he needs such a big moment to win this fight. Like I'm gonna be honest, I feel like he has to win this fight by KO. Evloev is pretty much impossible to submit if you watch the tape. He is really, really good at rolling out of submissions. It's pretty crazy to watch. Um, Lerone Murphy, not crazy powerful, but he is able to set up really vicious attacks sometimes. I don't know if that's gonna happen in this fight. Like I just don't see that. Like it's very hard for me to predict a fight um for Lerone Murphy to be won by like a flying knee in this fight. Like Evloev is not super over aggressive. He shoots good takedowns. Like Weller said, I am, I'm kind of leaning towards maybe a submission here for Evloev. But what I'm really gonna say is maybe a bit controversial. I'm gonna go Mozvar Evloev round four TKO on the ground. I think Lerone Murphy will. Hmm, this is tough, man. And I feel like Lerone might be able to buck out because he does have solid wrestling. But I just feel like he's just gonna get tuckered out throughout this fight. I do think he's gonna realize that like he doesn't have a crazy advantage in the feet, and like Evloev's gonna be a hard guy to time. He has good forward pressure where he's not like overcommitting too much. So I'm gonna stick with this. This easily could be a decision, but I'm gonna go Mosvar round four KO on the ground. I think, like Weller said, he's definitely got something to prove here. He does have good ground and pound. And I think honestly, like maybe he hurts Lerone on the feet. Lerone's been hurt on the feet before. Mosvar's not typically very powerful, but like I could see him clipping him and then chaining that into a takedown, even if he doesn't drop him. So round four KO for Evloev. Um, Excited to see the winner of this matchup get absolutely sparked by Volk. In a beautiful 48-47 decision. But I'm really excited for this card actually. I feel like there are a lot of good fights that have, a lot of potential. So we'll see.